I'm your host, Diane Bogino. We're coming to you from Scalini's Italian Restaurant on Cobb Parkway. Sam Horn is our guest tonight, and she is America's intrigue expert. She's the author of such critically acclaimed books as Pop, Tung Fu, Concentrate, and What's Holding You Back. She's often a featured guest on NPR, MSNBC, BusinessWeek.com, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, and Investors Business Daily. Perhaps most importantly, Sam Horn is known for helping her clients and audiences create original, one-of-a-kind ideas and approaches that catapult their effectiveness, impact, and income. Sam, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
You're welcome, Diane.
What does POP stand for, and how did you come up with that title?
POP stands for Purposeful, Original, and Pithy, and it started 17 years ago when I was helping to run the Maui Writers Conference. We gave authors an unprecedented opportunity to meet with agents and editors, but those top agents and editors would say, "What's your book about?" And people would go, wah, 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 wah. So this is how to pop your book hook or your pitch in 60 seconds or less.
Great, and you got a copy there, so you can see the cover.
I do.
Everybody go pick up a copy of that, please. We're so busy these days, Sam. How can we use POP to process, the POP process to distinguish ourselves from our competitors and quickly capture our customers' interest?
George Washington Carver said, when you can do a common thing in an uncommon way, you will command the attention of the world. So our goal is to pop people up from their blackberries by pleasantly surprising them and being original. For example, if you were going to write a book on dealing with difficult people, call it Tung Fu. That's going to help that book pop off the shelf. If you're going to write about a book about dogs, call it You Had Me at Wolf. That's going to help that book pop off the shelf. So the question is, anytime you want to get people's attention, watch their eyebrows. Because if their eyebrows knit or furrow when you tell them about your business or you tell them what you do, they don't get it. And if they don't get it, you don't get it. You want those eyebrows to go up. You want those eyes to pop. Now you got your idea in their mental door.
Why do people always love the newest, next best thing? That's what you call the eureka moment. And that's one way we can, and what's one way that we can be first to the market with our offerings so that we stand out from the crowd and get noticed from everybody else?
You know, people are BB, they're busy and they're bored. They've been there, they've heard that. And so they're yearning for something fresh. Please introduce something I haven't seen before. So you want a 60-second example of a great example about how you can pop something out by being new or first of its kind?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been to Hawaii recently by any chance?
Not recently, no.
You know, the scuba industry was tanking. Bad joke. Why? Because there's so many barriers to entry. And now all those people watching, if your business has a lot of barriers to entry, you may be on your way to bankruptcy. See, so what we do is we ask ourselves, why does it have to be that way? What's a different way? Came up with a new thing. Wait a minute. Let's leave the oxygen tanks on the boat. Let's run a long hose to people they can hold in their mouth, kind of like a snorkel. Now you can be 8 years old. You don't have to be certified. You don't have to go down 80 feet. You can go down 8 feet and swim with a huma, nuka, nuku, appas. Now you know what you call it? If you got a new idea, it deserves a new name that pops it out of its pack. That's called, it's half snorkel, it's half scuba, it's snooba.
Snooba.
Da-da-da-da, multi-million-dollar industry. That's the way you pop out of your pack.
Wow, interesting. Now, I understand that you work as a consultant and you help entrepreneurs as well as organizations to communicate how they're special. Now, how does that work?
Well, I'll give you a quick example. Is I do a lot of consulting with people who want to give presentations or who want to write books or pop out their business so it's one of a kind instead of one of many. I had a client who came to me. The good news is he had been asked to speak at a Harvard medical conference. The bad news, he was the last speaker on the last day. Now, we know that people's eyes are going to be glazed over at that point, so we had to pop him out of the pack. So I kept asking him for some way that he was one of a kind. I said, do you have any hobbies? He says, Sam, I travel all the time. I'm so busy, no hobbies. I say, do you and your wife do anything for fun? He says, we watch a little TV once in a while. I said, well, like what show? And he said, Law and Order. Boom! I knew what the title was. He was a specialist in Six Sigma that helps hospitals identify the problems in the hospital and then set up systems that fix them. So Law and Order became flaw and order. Dun dun. And of course he got buy-in in the first 30 seconds, because here comes that slide. We talk about the 3 major flaws that are costing hospitals patients, and then we played detective and figured out how to solve them. He got a standing ovation at the end of a Harvard Medical Conference. Best of all, most of the people in the audience came up and gave him their card and said, please talk to me afterwards. We'd like to work with you.
One way to break out instead of blend in is to do the opposite instead of the obvious. Tell me about that.
Well, I call this the enterprise effect. For example, when Enterprise wanted to enter the very competitive multi-billion-dollar market, it was owned by Hertz and by Avis. How can you go into a market that's dominated by the big boys? Well, you ask yourself 2 questions. You ask yourself, what do people want that no one else is offering? Well, what people wanted that none of the other guys were offering was pick-up and drop-off service. So see, they were the first to offer that, and when you're first to market, you own that market. Now, the second question was, what are they all doing? Don't do the obvious, do the opposite. Where were all the car rental agencies located? At the airports. So they went in neighborhoods. Now, you want to know the happy ending to that story? Guess who is number 1 in the multi-billion-dollar rental car agency market?
Enterprise?
Could be.
It demonstrates the importance of having a name, a title, and a tagline that people can repeat and remember. Now, what is that, and why is that so important?
You know, I had an opportunity to work at the Regency Racket Club, and Art Buchwald was actually a member in one of our chair umps, and he once said, I learned at an early age that when I made people laugh, they liked me. He said, this is a lesson I never forgot. So see, I'm talking to all of our people out there, is that in your marketing, are you making people laugh? Because if you're making them laugh, they'll like you. And that's one of our goals in business. So a quick example of that, using a pop technique called the half and half technique. And in my book, Pop, we have 25 different techniques that people can use to pop their priority. And this half and half technique, if you were going to open up a restaurant that was half Chinese and half Italian, what might you call it? Chow mein, Ciaomein. Or let's see, maybe you're going to have a Hawaiian Indian restaurant. What might you call that?
You got me.
Taj Mahalo. Or you have a Mexican Chinese restaurant. What do you call that? Guacamole. Now, see, we're not just going for the laughs. You're going down the street, you're not even noticing the stores, but there on a banner is guacamole or Taj Mahalo. Aren't you more likely to park and go in? That's the point of Pop, is that
People pop their elevator speeches, only you don't call them that. What do you call them?
I don't call them that. In fact, I had an opportunity to speak at Inc. 500. This is the top 500 entrepreneurs in the country. We're working on their elevator intros. I don't call them speeches. Do you know anyone who likes to listen to a speech? I don't think so. So we call them elevator introductions or connections. Now, Colleen, Entrepreneur of the Year for Oklahoma. I said, Colleen, what do you do? She said, wah, 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 wah. Diane, at the end of 2 minutes, no one in the room knew what she did. Now, what are the consequences? People are going to walk out. They're not going to talk to her. They don't have a hook on which to hang a conversation. Because if people don't know or understand what we do, they don't know what to talk about. So I said, what do you do in the real world that we can see, smell, taste, or touch? She said, she said, no, I run the facilities that offer MRIs and CAT scans. I said, now don't tell people what you do. Ask a question. Have you, a friend or a family member, ever had an MRI or a CAT scan? They're going to give you RI, relevant information. They're going to say, oh yeah, my daughter hurt her knee playing soccer. She had an MRI. Now relate what you do to what they just said. Oh, I run the medical facilities that offer MRIs like the one your daughter had. Oh, look what's happening. Oh, and oh is a lot better than
Being with us tonight, Sam. We really appreciate your time and expertise.
You're welcome. And now
We've been talking to Sam Horn, the intrigue expert. I'm Diane Bogino. Thank you for joining us on Business Notes.